Okay, good. It's 5 past 10 on my watch, literally. So we already gave 5 minutes for people to join us, and then we're gonna start this call. Yay! I'm so happy. Welcome all of you to the introduction to ECB onboarding. As you already know, this is the second onboarding facilitated by ECB, and actually the last one. The first one, it was open for all ISACers, and you could invite anyone that you would like to, LC members, new members, MCs, or whatever, because the content, it was extremely important, but it was more general based on the new things of our documents. Right now, this cycle that you're going to give to receive right now, it will be focused on ECBs. So what are the details that you should pay attention in the documents and execute as being the ECB chair or part of the ECB team on your entity? That's the purpose of this cycle. I have been working with the BD team because they are responsible for this cycle, and we are trying to ensure that this cycle won't have redundant information, because I believe that a lot of you have already attended the other cycles. But for some sessions, maybe you will receive like the same information as before, but there are some new things like tips for you to discuss this point with your national plenary, or some specific points that we didn't mention in a cycle for everyone because it's only related to the ECB one. So I kindly ask you to join the other sessions, even if you already know about the topic. And if you cannot join at all the sessions will be recorded, of course, and then you will get the output with the materials and also with the video, the recording ones. Okay, I'm going to introduce myself for the ECB chairs. You already know me. I'm slide all the time, but there are some ECB members that don't know me. So my name is Karina. I am the current ICB chair for 1920, and I am also the ICB chair elected for 2021. And just for you to get to know me a little bit, it's just 3 things about myself. I am from Brazil. I was born in here, and I am currently living in here. I see myself living abroad, but I see also myself finishing my life and creating my family in Brazil because I really love my country. I joined ISAC in January 2015, so I've been in the organization for 5 years or more, and I will leave ISAC probably in 2021, so it will be like quite a long time in the organization. I'm super proud of that. And my life outside ISAC, yes, I do have a life outside ISAC. I'm not working fully for the organization only, and I am the head of marketing in one of the IT startups, and I'm super proud of that because this is actually what I want to do for my life when I finish my ISAC career. Great, that's me. If you want to get in touch later on, feel free to contact me. I am a very open person by WhatsApp, by Instagram, or whatever. But just mail me if it's something for work. Don't mail me for personal stuff. That would be weird. Cool. What is the content of the day? We're gonna give, I will give you a very brief, I say brief because you already had the introduction to APIP and APIP several times. I believe that in all calls for the previous on board, you had an introduction to the document. So I would just say some things again to make sure that you know. And then we're gonna focus on the first part of the governance system That is the ICB and ECB role. I believe that the best way for you to start the onboarding to ECBs is actually understanding deeply what are the role and the responsibilities of ICB and what are the role and responsibilities of the ECB team. Yes, remember to mute yourself. Then the last part will be with Lilo. She will give you an amazing announcement related to the cluster wars. And this is a surprise. I don't know if you already know or if you don't. But it's going to be a part of interaction during the cycle because we received your feedback. And some of them, it's related to sort of interaction and getting the knowledge in a different way. So we are working on the feedback. So if you do have feedback, please keep telling us because we are actually reading and working on that. Amazing. For the introduction, I mentioned it to you before that how everything started. It started with a mandate that we received from ISAC International and from ICB to review all the documents of the organization and to work on the governance system related to our operations. The result of this mandate was a very huge work from ICB side and also from ISAC International to review all the documents and to rewrite everything, to write new policies and to update the other policies that we had. Right now, we do have two documents, the APIP and the APIP. APIP, ISAC Exchange Program Policies. It's a document focused on our stakeholders. It contains rights, roles, obligations, responsibilities, procedures, and protocols related to ISAC activities. APIP, ISAC Portfolio Internal Policies. All content of APIP plus internal process that ISAC must comply with while promoting and delivering its activities. Biggest difference, APIP is stakeholders for externals, and APIP, everything that you have for external plus internal processes that we need to comply as being part of ISAC as an international organization. Why do we have two new documents instead of just one? Because before we were using only one, that was XPP. First, XPP document is not that customer friendly because we have a lot of information that was not supposed to be delivered for our stakeholders. It's quite hard for us to create a document like internal policies that is friendly for people because it's more bureaucracy stuff. And yeah, that's it. But we try to make it more friendly in the way that the things are written. So you will see inside of the APIP that we explain more the acronym that ISAC use. We explain more the purpose of each expression, let's say, that ISAC use, because every time that I'm explaining some expressions and acronyms to people that are not from ISAC, they get crazy. So the way that it's written, it's more customer friendly. It's not like the template, the structure itself. APIP is not that friendly as the APP because it's focused on ISACers, so we believe that the members, they already know everything that is written in there, or if they don't know, we have the table of content, we have all of these other process, and we also have you as being ECB chair or part of the ECB team to help the members to understand the documents. The second point is that one document contains a lot of information that is not necessary for the customer. So for an example, the customer doesn't need to know what is the process for us to submit a break request when we need to submit a break request. They just need to know that they have the right to break their realization according to those policies. But how ISAC is going to formalize that in the platform, they don't need to know that. And that's the type of information that we have on APIP that we don't have in AEPP. In the end of everything, do you need to check two documents? No, because APIP it's equal APP plus internal processes. My advice for you, if you as ISACer need to check something, you go check APIP because there you will have all the information that you need. Your customer go to APP. And when I say customer, it's not only EPs. Remember that the opportunity providers are also a customer for ISAC. Cool, let's go for the structure. APP, the document for our stakeholders. The structure that we have is exactly this one. We have 5 sessions in the document, and the sessions, they are quite new. There are some modifying, and there are some things that didn't change at all. So you can see the whole difference in here. If you are curious to understand exactly what changed in a specific point of this structure, we delivered already the cycle for ISAC, and also in this cycle, we're going to mention it again, and we're going to go deeper in each topic of this. This session right now is just for you to understand the structure, and you see, okay, I can see this specific point that I need to support an LC in the topic 4.2 because it's a policy before approval, and this LC is having an issue regarding break and approval. So you know that you can go for the document and that specific part that is 4.2 in the AEPP. This is the structure of APIP, but I'm going to focus on the structure of the APIP. Why? Because this one is the one that you should pay attention as being part of ECB or being ECB chair, ECB member, or whatever. This is the one that contains everything that ISEC needs to know. And there is a sunlight in my face. Sorry for that. Then you can see that the structure is quite longer. You see that we have not only 5 sections, you have 12 sections in this document. And there are some things that are extremely new. The things that are extremely new are the ones that are in green. Yes, I'm not daltonic, it's green. So you can see that we have brand policies, we have platform principles, we have general ISEC portfolio management. So what is the role of the organization and so on. It's better explained in there. There are other things that are mostly wording. So mostly wording, that means that the content itself didn't change much. It's like adequate the words and the sentences to be more clear for the person that is reading. But the ones that are in this blue or something, it's the things that I think you should pay attention. Because it's not new, like some are new, but some are modified. And it's kind of tricky because the things that are modified, it can change, if change like a comma, it can change the whole sentence. So I kind of ask you to treat the part that is in blue, for you that is part of the ECB team, that is totally new. And if you want my personal advice, while going to the document and while understanding all this process, my personal advice is that you consider that this is not a reshaped XPP. These are new documents for ISEC. And while you go to create your education cycle for your entity, or you're gonna define it with your MC or whatever, don't say that this is a refreshed XPP. We are trying to change the mindset of ISEC because XPP was a document that people were not aware before. If they were not aware before, what is the reason for us to say that this document was reshaped? So what we want right now is for literally all ISECers to understand that we do have 2 documents. Those documents are important and they understand the basic of the content of these documents. Who needs to understand these documents fully and understand what are all the sessions and what all the sessions says are ECPs, ICB, and some people of the MC. The LCs, they need to know, and that's amazing that they know. But they can come to you and ask questions. So if I had to split the responsibilities, I would say LCs need to understand that the documents exist. LCs need to understand the structure of this document. But if they have any doubt, they could go for the ECBs. But the ECB, to be able to answer all the doubts from the LCs, they need to understand the full document. So yes, if you are attending this call and you're part of an ECB and you don't know the full document, my advice for you, organize your calendar. I don't know, each session, each of the document by day, you will spend like 2 weeks reading the document, but it will be amazing for you. Because actually you must know the documents. You are like the guardian of these documents in your entity. Cool. I prepared some 3 questions. I think it's just 3 questions that we received in the questions and answers space for the introduction onboarding to ISEC. And I believe it's important for us to mention in here because probably those questions are very simple and your LCs will ask you that. So why APIP? That was the first question I received in the introduction to ISEC for the new documents. And that's the answer that we're giving to everyone. Because there are some processes inside ISEC that doesn't need to be shared with our stakeholders. Our documents are already heavy, so we try to compile all the information needed for a stakeholder in AEPP and all information needed for ISECers in the APIP. So why not having only 1 document? Why having the APIP instead of just AEPP? That's the answer. Basically, because we want our stakeholders to have a document that is more friendly. Good. What is the difference from XPP? APP, a document for externals. APIP equal APP plus internal policies for IASICers. The difference can be seen in the output of the call in the part of each structure of each document. So you can see that by the preview slides, I showed you the structure, and you can see the difference between APIP, you can see the difference between APP, and if you go for the structure of the XPP, you will see the difference also. So you can compare that. But for now, these are the difference between APP and APIP. Last question that I received from the questions and answer that I believe it's important for us to discuss in here. Can we translate APP into our native language? I believe that some of you also asked it in the ECB groups WhatsApp, and the answer is yes, you can translate it to your native language, but the official document is the one in English. The best option would be a sworn translation, but in some countries it's quite expensive and the changes in the documents are done twice a year. What is a sworn translation? It's a formal one done by a person that is like a certificate that it's their job to do this type of official translation, and it's quite expensive. My experience here in Brazil, when I want to do this type of official translation, I have to pay a lot, and they usually charge people per page. And I will give you an example, like $10 a page. And if you go for the APP, we have, I guess, 70 more pages. So that would be quite expensive. If you think it's affordable for your entity to have it done twice a year with a sworn translation, you can go for that. However, all the interpretation related to the document will be based on the official version. Official version is English. There are many risks involved in translating the document due to changes that happen constantly and interpretation. Our recommendation from ICB side is to use it in English. It's not forbidden for you to translate the APP. However, all the arbitration of cases and the interpretation of clauses will be done with the official version in English. If you want to take the risk by giving the document to your customer that is not in English and he understands it in a different way, but what ECB and ICB is saying, considering the English version is different than what your customer is understanding, we are going to stick with the version that is English. I hope that this is clear right now. In the end, this is going to be up to you and to your MC, decide what you want to do. But please remember, if by any chance you need to arbitrate a case and you need to go for a consultancy or whatever, take the one that is official version. That is the one in English. That's it. I think that more clear is impossible. But if you do have questions, you can type in the chat and I will answer all of that in the end. As I said, that was the introduction to the documents. I'm not going to go deeper in the introduction again because you already received that a lot. And there you go. There you have my tip for what actually your entity needs to know and what actually your entity needs to do to understand the existence of the two documents. First one, what everyone in your entity needs to know. Its existence. It doesn't matter if it's a member that has just been recruited and it's the first day of the organization of the member. My advice for you is for you to talk to your LCs and to make sure that they have in their onboarding agenda for new members in IASIC the existence of documents. They don't need to explain the content of it. They don't need to open the document. They don't need to do this kind of things. But they need to know that the document exists. And I will give you my experience. I just knew the existence of XPP in the middle of my first year in IASIC. I spent 6 months working for IASIC without knowing the documents. I went for my GV as my IXP experience, but as my IXP without knowing the existence of an XPP, and I was a member. If we have this type of situation in IASIC with members, imagine with our customers. So everyone needs to know the existence of the document. Second thing, know its content, its structure. So they don't need to know, okay, how should I proceed with a broker approval request? They don't need to know that, but they need to know that this is possible and this is inside of the document. And if they need any help, they need to know where to go in the document and who to talk with. It's different than understanding the content and understanding the structure. My advice for you, make sure that everyone in your entity know the existence of the document and know the content structure of the document. So, the last one, but not least, know where to find the document. This can sound silly, but some people don't know where to find a document and they keep struggling because the document changes a lot. We have 2 mandatory changes in the document per year. And you have an official link that is is.ac/global compendium. I think I already sent this link in the ECB chair WhatsApp group, and also I sent it in the email for all the ECB chairs. And this is the official link. You can get the latest version of the document with this link. The link don't change. It's the same one for everyone. And yes, I think that these are the 3 things that everyone should know in your entity: existence of the document, structure of the document, and where to find the document. Now let's go for MCs and LCs. What the MCs and LCs need to know. They need to fully understand the content related to criteria for ISAC, EPs, and OPs. Why do they need to understand that? Because they are executing the activities of ISAC. So they need to understand when they are eligible to work with the product, when they can approve an EP criteria to be considered an EP, and when they can work with an opportunity provider, because they are the ones signing the contracts. They are the ones selling things for people. If they sell it to the wrong person, this can cause a problem for you. So they need to understand the criteria for ISAC, EPs, and OPs. Second thing, criteria for products. After you sell your product, it's going to be time for you to actually deliver what you promised to your customer. And you need to promise your customer actually things that you can deliver. And the things that you can deliver, I should not say can, the things that you must deliver for this part are the principles and the minimums. You can deliver much more if you want to, if it's the culture of your organization. But there are minimums and principles that you must comply with. And if your LCs and MCs, they don't know the criteria for the product, principles and minimums, they might have some problems during the organization, the experience that they are delivering. Third one, quite, I forgot the word, but it's obvious, exchange standards. Because products, minimums, and principles are not exchange standards. This is different. Product minimums and principles are the minimum things that you need to comply with to deliver the specific product. Exchange standards is you are in the middle of your experience, or you are like approving in the before realization phase and after realization phase. What are all the steps that you need to deliver to make sure that you are delivering an ISAC exchange? Because what is actually the standards? The standards are the things that we as ISAC are promising to our customer, so they will actually live an ISAC experience. These are the things different. One of the biggest difference between ISAC and other organizations that work with exchange. So if you're not delivering the ISAC exchange standards, probably you are just delivering an exchange. And that's not the purpose of our organization, right? We want to deliver an ISAC exchange that is extremely different from any other exchange that we would like to deliver. So, again, MCs and LCs, they need to understand criteria for ISAC, EPs, and OPs, criteria for products, what is criteria for products, principles and minimums, and exchange standards. Right now, what the ECB needs to know, everything with a heart. As I already said, you need to know everything because you are the guardian of the document of your entity. So if you don't know something, you can come to ECB, of course, because we also need to know everything of the document and we can support you. But MCs and LCs, they don't need to know everything. They need to know the minimums for them to work. And you need to know everything because you are the responsible to educate and to support them if they need any type of help. Cool. You can focus on, I know it's hard, oh, Karina, the document is super huge, I need to know everything, and I'm super lost, I'm new in the role, and blah, blah, blah. Calm down, young person. You can focus on some specific things related to the new documents. Everything your LCs and MCs need to know. So if you don't know anything about the document, please, first thing that you need to know is focus on the things that your MCs and LCs need to know. Go to learn all of these 3 topics first. Then, after you learn everything, you go for the case solving flow because you will be responsible to guarantee that your customers will be supported if they are having any trouble with the ISAC experience. How are you going to support them? By guaranteeing the case solving flow being executed in your entity. So you need to understand the case solving flow. Third one, compensation policies. It's an annex that is related to the case solving flow. If you're having a problem with your customer, then you need to understand, is this customer liable for reimbursement? If yes, if you know, what is he liable to? Then you go for the compensation policies. And last one, governance system. That is going to be the first topic that we're going to discuss today. Why governance system? Because you are the responsible to execute the governance system in your entity. Yes, that's it. If you didn't know about that, you are the responsible to do it. And today's call, right after this slide, we're going to go for the first topic of the governance system, that is ECB role and ICB role. Last one but not least, let's make sure that you understood the responsibilities of the bodies of your entity regarding to the documents. And this is going to be the summary of everything that I said. LCs, they need to execute the document. What do I mean by execute the document? They are the one in the beginning of everything. If we had a line, they are the one in the beginning of everything because they are signing the contracts. They are talking to the customers directly. They are actually delivering the experience. You are ECB, you're not delivering an experience. The LCs are. So they need to execute everything that is written in the documents. That's why they need to understand these 3 points that I mentioned here. MCs, what the MC need to do? They need to execute and they need to help you to educate all the LCs. There are some MCs that execute and some MCs that are responsible for some experiences because we have a very diverse MC plenary. And the MCs, other ones, they are more related to education because the LCs are super independent to execute everything. So MCs execute and educate people about the document. And ECBs, you are responsible to educate everyone related to the documents, monitor to see if everyone is actually working and executing everything that is written in the document, and report. This report part is the one that we're going to talk a lot today because it's quite new. Before, the ECBs that were reporting the things that they were doing, it was like an extra mile. But right now, the ECBs will have to report everything that they will doing. It's inside of the document legislated that you need to report the governance and the compliance state of your entity. I think that is clear. LCs need to execute what is written in the document. MCs execute and educate everyone about what is written in the document. And ECBs educate, monitor, and report. Now, let's go for the governance system. You already understood that you are the responsible to execute the governance system in your entity and also to monitor everything that is happening and blah, blah, blah. What is this governance system? Well, the governance system of the APIP Portfolio Internal Policies, APIP, outline the processes and practices through which different bodies of APIP will ensure compliance to the policies as well as deal with cases that arise. So the governance system will say it will help you to proceed and will help you to understand if your LCs are actually complying with the documents. So the governance system will help you to monitor, to monitor and also to report. That's the two things that the governance system will help you to do. Then the International Control Board, us, remain the final body responsible to ensure the governance system of ISAC portfolio policies is implemented in all ISAC entities bodies. If we are the responsible to ensure that these things are happening, how are we going to ensure these things are happening? By getting the reports from your site. So we are educating you. We will give you support so you can implement the compliance system in your entity, the governance system in your entity, and it will report it to us so we can monitor the ECBs while the ECBs are monitoring the LCs. It's quite simple. We can even imagine a pyramid like this. Cool. Let's go for us right now. Since we are the responsible to guarantee everything, what is written in the document related to ICB responsibilities inside related and also inside of the governance system of ISAC. The purpose of ICB is to support the governance of the ISAC portfolio and ensure customer centricity by guaranteeing operational and ethical compliance in every ISAC activity. This is like the beautiful phrase that we can use to explain the purpose of ICB. We are divided in 3 areas: audit and compliance, board development, and customer support. I will explain you now what are the 3 areas of the board and what actually changed in terms of the scope of the areas. For audit and compliance, they are responsible to conduct physical or virtual audits to ISAC entities in order to ensure all operations are run in accordance with the APIP and ISAC exchange standards. This is not new. It was already their responsibility. They are also responsible to support ECBs to establish and perform audits at the local level. You will see that it's mandatory for ECBs to have an audit at local level. And if you need any help because you don't have the audit or you need to change your system or whatever, you can go for the audit and compliance team because they are the specialists in auditing and it's their role and responsibility to support ECBs to do that. Something that is new, analyze audit reports to be submitted by ECB's teams. Since the ECB team now is mandatory to have an audit system, and it's going to be mandatory for the ECB to report the result of the audits that you're conducting in your entity level to ICB, the ICB audit and compliance team will be responsible to analyze all the reports that you're going to submit for us. That's it. That's the only thing that is new from audit and compliance. It seems few things, but it's actually a very tough work and with a lot of responsibility. It's just 3 points, but don't get caught just like 3 points. 3, it's like nothing related to their routine. Let's go for BD right now. What the BD team is responsible? Delivering an education cycle, including but not limited to virtual conferences, aka VICO that we had, physical summits, commission calls, and consultancies. So we can deliver any type of education cycle that we want to, and this is not something new, but the BD team is responsible for that, and this is one of the cycles that we are delivering, so we are actually executing our responsibility now. The second point that is new, manage and update the ECB Development Index, as well as track ECB's performance in order to offer personalized support. Karina, we already had the ECB Development Index, so this is not new. This is new because now it's legislated. Before we didn't have it legislated in the documents. Right now we do have. There is a tool that we're going to track the performance of ECBs. And then the second thing is important related to this one is, if we are responsible to track the ECB's performance, that means that the ECBs are now accountable to ICB. And we are actually working and approximating our relationship as well as the MCs have with their network. So you have your MC OGV, for example, in your entity, and then you have all the LCVPs, OGVs. We can kind of have something similar from ICB and ECBs right now. Let's pretend the ICB is the MC OGV, and the ECB shares could be quite of the LCPs of the LCs, and then the members or the team leaders of ECBs could be our VPs related to the things that they are delivering, like they are executing. Audit and compliance, board development, and customer support. That's actually the difference. Before, you were not accountable to ICB. Right now, you are being accountable to ICB. Then the third thing that is new, downscale an ICB survey quarterly to the ECB chairs, including questions related to ECB roles and responsibilities and the compliance metrics. This ICB survey, you will receive it in October. Lilo is working with her team to create the system, the survey, and also to understand how are we going to work with this, because it will be an evolution of the ECB state form that some of you have already received before. Then another thing that is new, provide findings to the global plenary based on the output of ICB survey, also related to the ICB survey report, and manage and track the fulfillment of the role and responsibility of ECB chairs. This is the clause that says that, yes, you are fully accountable to ICB right now, and we will be responsible to track the performance and everything that you are doing. That's it for BD. I think that BD was the team that evolved the most in terms of roles and responsibilities. For customer support, we didn't have any change, but I will explain here so you can understand what the area does. Review the APIP and EPP twice a year before IC and IPM respectively, and keep the network accountable to respecting them. So the customer support team is actually the one responsible to provide the changes in the documents. Solve cases and provide recommendations for the global plenary regarding BD, blah, 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 regarding all these things. So they are responsible to answer your consultancies, to answer the cases, and to check if the customer flow is being actually executed. They are responsible to proceed with the official case applications if you have some. So all the doubts that you have that you send to Zendesk, that is our platform, they are responsible to check it and to answer you. Offering consultancies upon request to the interpretation of the documents that we have. serve as final appealing body for the ECB's decision and solve cases regarding quality of exchange products, serve as the final responsible body for defining the reimbursement amount if you need any help to define the reimbursement amount of your AP. Yeah, I guess that's it. So we didn't have changes in the customer support. The biggest changes are part of the board development team, but also the audit and compliance team has a very huge change that is related to the way that we are executing our funnel of auditing in international level. Still related to ICB, we have my responsibilities as chair. So what do I need to do? I need to represent the global board in all international legislative meetings, the ILMs, in every international conference, that is IC and IPM. I need to be there physically or virtually, depending on how the conference is being delivered. I need to track and to report to a membership subcommittee the status of entities regarding the exchange performance criteria stated in the global compendium, what this is about. Do you remember that you have that criteria that you can only lose one official case application with ICB per 1,000 realizations that you have. So I am responsible to track all of these things with the CS team and to report this to the MSC since this is a full member criteria. Provide recommendations on special cases which are not outlined in APIP and APP. If we have any cases that the APIP and APP is not covering the situation, I am the responsible to say what is going to happen with that EP or with that entity. Provide quarterly reports to the global plenary, so I need to be accountable with the MCPs about everything that is happening with ICB, and that's actually what you will have to do as being ECB. You will have to be accountable to your LCPs the same way that I am being accountable to the MCPs regarding my board. You are the responsible for your board, ECB, so you need to be accountable to your plenary, that is the LCPs. I am responsible for my board, that is ICB, so I need to be accountable for the MCPs. And that's it. What is the ICB structure? I will go very briefly here because we don't have many changes, but the ICB shall consist of a chair and a minimum of 3 team leaders. That is actually the current structure and also the next structure. All team leaders' positions and chair should be held as full-time position with a duration of 12 months. The chair profile should be former MCP, MC, or ICB member, and the team leader profile should be former MCPs, MCs, ICB members, or ECB chairs. The number of a team leaders structure and term duration inside of ICB team is divided by need. The team member profile must respect the following criteria. And if you are willing to apply for ICB, that's something interesting for you to know because we are going to open applications for ICB in October. So pay attention to the criteria to be a member of the board. The team member profile for the board development area can include any ISEC member and alumni with at least one previous role in the organization. So if you are part of ECB, if you are part of any MC or LC, you can apply to be part of the BD team. There are no regulations related to that. But Karina, we have that criteria that the ECB chair cannot have dual roles in the organization. You can see, and I will explain related to the ECB criteria, that you cannot have roles in any MC or LC. ICB and ISEC International are not MCs and we are not LCs. What does it mean? It means that ISEC International, you can be a GST if you are an ECB chair because you're not being involved with an MC or you're not being involved with an LC. And ICB is an external board. So you can be involved with us only for board development because for case solving and auditing, the members cannot have current ECB roles. So we can have people that are LCPs, we can have people that are MCs or whatever, but we cannot have current ECB roles. And when I say role, is chair, neither member, neither team leader, or whatever. So if you are part of an ECB team and you want to be part of ICB, you can only for the board development team. So Raulito, the chair of Tunisia that is elected for board development team leader is super lucky because I believe that we will have a lot of applicants for this team. I am willing to have you here. Then the team structure should be presented at every IC. This is more for MCPs. All members and team leaders of ICB must have an endorsement from their home entities. This is not relevant for us now. Cool. This is everything related to ICB that I believe you should understand. Then let's go for ECBs. That is actually what you need to learn and understand about your role. ECB is an entity controlling body responsible for the governance and compliance of the ISAC portfolio internal policies and the arbitration of cases concerning exchange standards and ER principles of ISAC entities. ECB is the last decision-making body on national level in regards to APIP and APP, an independent board working directly with its MC, LC, and ICB to ensure that every customer and stakeholder experience complies with ethical and operational standards. The purpose of ECB is to support the governance of ISAC portfolio and ensure customer centricity by guaranteeing operational and ethical compliance in every ISAC activity. We reshaped it a bit how we are explaining the role and responsibility of ECB in the documents, and the two clauses that are reshaped, it's not new, it's reshaped, are the two ones highlighted in yellow. Cool, let's go for what is written in the document related to ECB team. First thing, what you have to do as being part of your ECB team. You need to provide quarterly reports to the ISAC entities plenary with recommendations on ethical issues related to operations, as well as brief updates on activities of the body, including but not limited to consultancies that you offered for your LCs, cases that you solved related to your LCs, audits conducted, and the results of your auditing. Karina, oh my God, I have no idea how to report all of these things. Don't worry, you can check the ICB reports to the global plenary, because this is actually what I am reporting to all of the MCPs. I'm reporting how many consultancies we received as ICB. I'm reporting how many cases we solved. I'm reporting all the audits that we are conducting, the results of the auditing. If we found any ethical issue, that's basically what I am doing as being ICB chair. You will have to do, but related to your entity plenary. You will have to support to provide quarterly reports. Provide support to the ISAC entity plenary through offering consultancies upon request related to APIP and APP, deliver an education cycle about APP and APIP, code of ethics and ISAC exchange standards, and the last one, conduct physical or virtual audits. As I said, this is mandatory for each ECB team. Basically, if you have to summarize what you have to do, support your entity in terms of education and consultancy related to the documents, monitor your entity by conducting physical and virtual audits to understand actually if they are complying with the policies, and report everything that is happening with your entity. Do you remember the three things that I said that ECB is responsible? To educate, to monitor, and to report. That's what is written in here. Educate by supporting your entity, monitor by conducting auditings, and report by reporting it to the LCPs and to the MC. Now let's go for the ECB chair. What is the ECB chair responsible to? They need to sign the ECB establishment letter and send it to ICB chair and MCP before every ILM, respecting the timeline settled by the global membership subcommittee chair. If you don't know what this is about, this is one of the topics inside of the membership, full membership criteria. Every entity must have an ECB with at least a chair. For you to prove that you have an ECB team with a chair, that is a letter that the chair needs to sign. You need to submit this letter to me and to your MCP before every ILM. The ILM happens twice a year. So if your term is for 12 months, you have to sign this letter twice. And then you will have to give it twice because there are 2 ILMs that your MCP will be part of. Timeline for this, you can coordinate it with your MC responsible or with your MCP, because the responsible to give the timeline is the membership subcommittee chair. Represent the ECB in harassment committees during cases involving exchange participants. Before, it was not mandatory for the ECB chair to be part of the harassment committee if the case involves exchange participant. It was like, it can be part of the harassment. Right now it's mandatory because you are there to guarantee the customer centricity and to protect the customers related to the documents that we have. So if there is a situation happening with harassment, you need to be part of the committee to investigate, to understand everything that happened, and to make sure that the policies related to harassment are being followed. Third one, represent the board in national legislation meetings by reporting the progress of the board and contributing to discussions related to the proposal of ECB. If you are an ECB member or if you are an ECB team that does not have the culture in your entity for the ECB to be part of the legislation meetings, well, this will have to change, and I advise you to be the one to raise the flag and start talking about this with your MC, because ECB is one of the boards responsible for compliance and is actually the responsible to execute the governance system. And part of the governance system of IASEC is most of the things are discussed in the legislation meeting. So you need to be there at least to understand what is the future of your entity, because you are actually representing the board responsible for compliance in your entity. So it's extremely important for you to be there. If you are being a chair for an entity that you're not currently living in, for example, I'm living in Brazil and I'm being ECB chair in Turkey, I can be there virtually if it's not possible for me to travel. If it's possible for you to travel, amazing. That's one of the cool things that you can do being ECB chair, traveling abroad. But if not, try to be there virtually. Complete ICB survey quarterly to be downscaled by ICB. So this is something you need to know. Respond to the demands of ICB when the respective entity selected for auditing by submitting documents that conform to the instructions of ICB. So if by some reason your entity is being chosen to be audited in international level, then you need to support us by submitting the documents. And provide quarterly reports to ICB, including but not limited to consultancies offered, cases solved, audits conducted, and its results. The same report that you will be sending to your LCPs, you can even send it to ICB, or the same report that you send to ICB, you can send to your LCs, because as you know, we are the responsible to track your performance as being ECB teams. So you need to be accountable for us too. Cool. What about ECB chair selection? Every ECB must be composed a minimum by a chair. The chair position should last preferably 12 months, following the MC timeline with a minimum duration of 6 months. You know that we have chairs for 6 and 12 months, but if you are 6 months and you want to extend for 12, I will be super happy. The ECB chair cannot have another role in any LC or MC during the term. This is the clause that I would like to explain because some people have doubt on it. Role in any LC and MC is different, okay? Because as I mentioned it, you can apply to be GEB, Global Expansion Board does not exist anymore, sorry. So you can apply to be ICB, you can apply to be GFB, the Finance Board, you can apply to be GST, because they are not roles in LCs and MCs. It's different, okay? If the ECB chair has another role in any LC or MC, it will be not recognized by ICB, and the final responsible to assume its responsibilities will be the MC responsible for ECB. What does it mean, Karina? It means that if we need a final answer, like, can I approve this break approval? Can I approve this break realization? Can I sign an official cash application? Any type of decision that is representing your entity, if your ECB chair has a dual role in any LC or MC, we won't recognize it. This will also apply to the ECB chair establishment letter. If the chair that signed the letter has a role in LC or MC, the letter will be considered invalid. Applications for the chair of ECB shall be open at least 3 months before the beginning of the term. It's recommended that the entity plenary selects and ratifies the ECB chair. Every entity should present its chair selected 1 month before the term starts for 1 year position. The chair should be selected and presented until July 1st. Why July 1st? Because your first official month is August. So if the chair should be selected and presented 1 month before, 1st July you are selected and presented to your entity, and then 1st August it's your official first day of work. For 6 months position, the first chair should be selected and presented until July 1st, and the second before January 1st. So if you are a 6 months chair, you pay attention that by 1st January 2021, you will have to present your successor. So my advice for you is for you to start thinking about the ECB chair application by December or even November. The MCP is responsible to present the ECB chair for the national plenary using its international communication tools. The chair process should be conducted with a minimum of 1 MC representative, ECB chair current, and its recommendation. It's recommended to have 1 LCP and 1 ICB representative. It's recommended that the national plenary participates in part of the process or at least ratifies the ECB chair. The current ECB chair has their title and responsibility until the term is over, unless there is not an ECB chair elected. In that case, the person continues in the position until the new ECB chair is elected. So this is something that is quite happening now. We have some entities that are not being able to find an ECB chair, and the previous chair is still being they're responsible for the ECB chair in the entity while they are finding a new one, person to replace it. Still about ECB, let's go for ECB member selection. As soon as the chair is ratified, the ECB chair shall open applications for ECB member. The selection shall be conducted by the ECB chair and at least one MC member, LCB, or ICB representative. The profile of team members shall include current or former ISAC members. So that means that the ECB's members can have other roles except current MSc and other ECB roles. What does it mean? The members of a board can be LCVPs, can be members, can be team leaders, can be LCPs, can be NSTs, ESTs, whatever, but they cannot have other ECB roles. So I cannot be ECB member in two entities at the same time, and I cannot have current MC roles and be ECB member at the same time. ECB's resignation. Every entity must be formalized by email. Every resignation should be formalized by email too. For members' resignation, you need to tell your ECB chair that you're resigning and also the MC responsible that you're resigning. And if you're a chair and you want to resign, you need to tell your MCP, your MC responsible, and me. If members of ECB resign, the board still remains effective until and is able to arbitrate cases as long as there is at least one active member remaining. Well, why? Because the members resigning, that means that we still have a chair. But if the chair resigns, the MC shall select an interim chair from within ECB membership, ECB chair criteria, that you need to comply with everything that I already said, and or application should be reopened. So if the chair resigns, the MC can elect an interim for the position until the next elections, or they can open application. It's up to the MC to decide that. And the MCP is the responsible to present the new entity chair for the global plenary by saying, hey, this is the new person, this is the content of the contact of the person, and so on. Cool. Let's go for something that is new, and it's the last topic of this call. Dismissal of ECB chair. Some chairs approached me to ask if the MC can dismiss an ECB chair because of performance, if ICB can dismiss an ECB chair or something, and we right now have a protocol for this. The dismissal of an ECB chair can only be processed under an agreement between the MCP of that entity and the ICB chair in mandate. So the ECB chair can only be dismissed if I agree with the MCP of the entity. If there is not an agreement, the ECB chair cannot be dismissed, and you will see what is going to happen. Both ICB chair and MCP need to agree with the dismissal based on the proofs analyzed. If the ICB chair and the MCP cannot reach an agreement related to the dismissal of the ECB chair, the final responsible to evaluate the case and confirm is the Global Ethics Subcommittee chair. So, yes, I don't have the power to dismiss you, but I do have it with your MCP. Please don't make me do that. I love you all, and I want to have you all working. I don't want to dismiss anyone, so please make sure that you're working properly in your entity. Every dismissal must be formalized by email with the ECB chair, ICB board development team leader, MCCB responsible, and MCP on copy. MCP, ICB, and ECB chair must be aware of the dismissal before the official email, of course, because you don't want to receive an email, hey, you got dismissed, suddenly, without being communicated about it before. The email should include at least reasons for dismissal based on the articles of APIP, timeline of selection process of the next ECB chair, name and contact of the ECB chair interim. That's the things related to the email. So if for some reason you receive an email of dismissal that you're out of your position as a ECB chair, those are the 3 points that need to be inside of the email. Okay, Karina, I understood that you can dismiss me, but what are the reasons that you can discuss with the MCP if you're going to dismiss me or not as ECB chair? The ECB chair can be dismissed by the MCP and the ICB chair under the following circumstances. Use of any tool, account, or platform of ECB or MC for local entity benefit. Proof required. You will see that all the things will need to have proofs because we don't want to dismiss people randomly. It's not a cool thing to do. Second thing, leak of any customer personal details, act in the name of any ICB member, falsifying proofs for a quality case at any level, withholding proofs related to a quality case to benefit an entity, falsifying documents and or results during auditing process, not reporting violations based on the compliance metrics previously identified during an auditing process. What does it mean? You're running an audit processes in your entity, you identified a violation, and you didn't report this violation, acting in bad faith to ICB. We can evaluate if you will be dismissed or not related to this. Yes, and that's it. Those are all the reasons for dismissal. If there are any reasons beside that that is not legislated, we will have to check this. I don't know how, but I hope that there is not. But this is something new. Again, I don't want you to be scared about that. This is something that is needed in the organization. This is something that I don't expect to do, to dismiss anyone, but it's also another thing inside of the document that says, yes, you need to fulfill your obligations as being ECB chair. Cool. As I finished the first part of introduction, I will finish this part with what does it mean for a chair. About everything that I said, ICB role, ECB role, what does it mean for you? First thing, audit is mandatory. You will have to start an audit system in your entity if you don't have. And if you don't have a system, it's time for you to start designing one. We will support you with a lot of things. We will support you in delivering templates, in booklets, in really a lot of things. Just put in your mind that by the end of the year, you need to have an audit system in your entity. You need to have it. Second thing, that means for you, ECBs are accountable for ICB right now. Everything that you do, we will be here to track your performance. So you will have to report it for us. We have our structure exactly divided by auditing. You will report to the audit team. Board development is more like performance of ECBs and tracking and education and blah, blah, blah. And the customer support is supporting you in quality cases. How are you going to be accountable for us? By the ICB survey quarterly, you will receive it, and if you are 12 months ECB chair elected, you will have to submit this survey 4 times a year because it's quarterly. ECB performance report quarterly. So if you are a 12 months, 1 year, you will have to submit 4 reports for ICB. ECB auditing report quarterly. You will have to report 4 times your auditing for ICB. Performance is different than auditing. Auditing is actually the compliance of your LCs related to the compliance metrics. ECB performance is everything that you're doing to execute your role and job description as ECB. How many education cycles you're delivering, how many consultancies you are delivering, the break requests that you're submitting, the approvals, the realizations, everything that you do with your ECB team, it's related to performance. Auditing is auditing itself. ECB chair must be accountable for LCPs. So you need to report to your LCPs what you're doing. They need to understand it. And this is going to help you to increase the pipeline and also the importance of the ECB. So please take care of your reports. How are you going to do that? You will also have to report your ECB performance for your LCPs. The ECB performance report presentations on, I wrote NLMs, but I don't know if this acronym exists, but it's the National Legislative Meetings. What does it mean? This is actually what I do as ICB chair. I have to report quarterly everything that my board is doing related to the quarter. And every time that I am in an ILM, I need to report the progress of the board related to the 6 months physically there. So this is the time that they actually will ask me questions. They will interact with me. And that's what I expect you to do as an ECB chair, to be there in the legislation meetings, in the fair meetings, explaining how you're working with your team. Last one, but not the least, new dismissal protocol for the ECB chairs. This is something that you should understand, that this is possible for it to happen with you. The new criteria for ECB chairs, that you cannot have different roles, but you can apply for global boards, for ISAC International, for an example. And new criteria for ECB's members, because your members cannot have current roles in ECB teams or MCs, but they can be any other role in the organization. I guess that's it. What does it mean for a chair? Again, what you actually have to do, and if you want a call to action for this session, create or review your audit system.
We will support you in terms of ICB by delivering minimums of your audit system. So what are actually all the minimums that you need to have in your audit system to comply with everything? We will deliver a spreadsheet template for your audit system if you don't have one. The second thing that you need as call to action, create your report structure and template. Since you will be accountable for ICB and you will be accountable for your LCPs, you need to have a very clear structure for templates and report. Why? Because by understanding the structure of your report, you will understand all the indicators, the KPIs that you must track with your team by being able to report the progress of your board. What we will do for NLMs, you can use as a template the ICB report for MCPs, and I will leave the link in here so you can see how ICB is reporting everything, and you can even adapt it to your plenary if you want to. Check with your MC responsible when the legislations will happen so you can be prepared. Also align with them. This will happen and you need a space during the meetings because probably the MCs, they don't know that they will have to give you a space to report everything that you're doing as ECB in these spaces. So call to action for you. Prepare your templates, talk to your MC that you will have to do that and ask a space in the next legislative meeting for you to report the progress of your board. For reports to ICB, we will deliver a structure and a template for you to follow. Why? Because we want to make sure that all ECBs, they are reporting the same content and the content that we need to evaluate your performance. So we will have the report. If you want to get to use the structure and the report that you will deliver to ICB to your LCPs, you don't even need to worry about the structure for your national plenary because you can use the same document. And that's it. You can expect these things from our side, the minimums for your audit system, the spreadsheet, and the template for the reports. Cool. A question related to auditing. I think that this is a question that you need to ask for yourself if you already have an audit system. Does your actual structure allow you to perform an audit system? What do I mean by structure? Your ECB structure. How many team leaders do you have? How many members do you have? How many exchanges you have a year? By balancing these things, your structure of ECB team and the amount of realizations and approvals that you have, is it enough for you to perform an audit system since the audit system is mandatory until the end of the year? If it's not enough, you will still have time to open applications. If it is enough, amazing. You can just start working right now. And I guess that's it for the call. That's everything that I had to say related to introduction to this cycle and ICB and ECB roles and job description. You will receive a lot of information, materials, templates from now on. And I guess that's it. Is Lilo in the call so she can give you the last part of the call?
Yes, I'm here. I just need you to allow me to share my screen.
Cool.
Great. So hello everyone. I am turning on my camera and now I am sharing my screen. I hope you all can see it. And to begin this, as I was saying in the beginning, we have our close Star Wars. I don't know if you saw this movie or if you heard about Star Wars ever in your life, but this is a dynamic that BD decided to have in order to connect you all and to prove or to check how is the learning process going in terms of this cycle. So why we choose Star Wars? Because first you see a lot of planet stuff and moon and so on, and we are ICB Lua, as you can see in our logo that it's there. And that it's basically the main reason. And I just decided to choose and to put here a phrase of Yoda that it's do or do not, there is no try. And it's very simple because it shows the commitment that you can have when you do the things. And the idea is that you always give your everything to the things and not just stop in a try. So what is this close Star Wars, Lilo? I am not going to tell you now, I am going to tell you later. But for the beginning, I am going to give you like some rules or some ideas of how this is going to work. So let's go with the first one, and it's that cluster words is a dynamic to check how is the learning process going as the result of this educational cycle, and also a dynamic to connect and build synergies inside the network because we are in this ECB journey together, and the idea is to get engaged with each other and not just to talk when we have like quality cases going on. And of course, like to check, as I said before, how is the process going here in terms that you will be the responsible to know everything here and also to educate the people. So the most important thing is that you know everything, or at least try to get to know everything. The second idea is that you will have some lloras in this process, and it's not ICB members. Of course, ICB will be always for you, but specifically here we decided to have some lloras that are going to be some easy features that earn their place as lloras. So what is a llora? In Star Wars, is a small in stature but revered for his wisdom and power. What is a llora in this cluster wars? Well, it's an entity that maybe not a lot of entities. It's a group of 14 entities that have been always accomplishing all the things, filling the survey in the first place, that are done with the academy, and that are always on time to do the things. So they will be your Yodas. And the third point is that you will be able to check the results daily on our Instagram podium. We are going to put every day in our stories how are the results of the last day, because it's going to be daily. And last but not least, it's not a real war, so don't take it that far. Peace between clusters. We are all friends, so take it easy. And now let's go into meet the planets. So we will have 4 planets, and the first planet will be integrated by all the entities in cluster 5, and the Yodas of cluster 5 will be the ECB chair of ISEC in Brazil, the ECB chair of ISEC in Argentina, and the ECB chair of ISEC in Mexico, and the planet is going to be Coruscant. Then we're going to have another planet that is going to be integrated by cluster 2, and the Yodas of cluster 2 will be the ECB chair of ISEC in Greece, the ECB chair of ISEC in India, and the ECB chair of ISEC in Egypt. And the planet will be Naboo. And here we have the other planet, the third one, that it's going to be integrated by cluster 4, and the Yodas of this planet will be the ECB chair of ISEC in Colombia, the ECB chair of ISEC in Italy, the ECB chair of ISEC in Tunisia, and the ECB chair of ISEC in Turkey, and the planet will be Alderaan. And last but not least, we have the planet that will be integrated by cluster 3, and the Yodas of cluster 3 will be ISEC in Vietnam, ISEC in Sri Lanka, ISEC in Bolivia, and ISEC in Peru, and the country will be ISEC in Tatooine. Of course, you will count with your ECB, with your coaches from ICB, but the main point is that you reach to these Yodas, or you get in contact with all of them, so you can solve all the things that we have prepared for you. And now I am going to explain what is all of this about. So, daily, we are going to launch some tests. This test needs to be filled correctly, and it's 1 test per block. So even, for example, if the day after tomorrow we have 3 small sessions, it will be 1 block. So you will only have to answer that block, and each block can be from 8 questions until 12 questions, and individually you have to fill it. To pass it, you will have to have 16 points correct. It doesn't matter if it's 8 questions, 9 questions, I don't know, 10 questions, it will be 16 points. We are going to handle all the points and so on. And it's individually because yes, we are planets, but at the end of the day, we are responsible for our own actions and our own entities. So work together, but handle for your results. The platform will be Google Classroom, because that is the best platform that we know that we can do and track this daily. And the planet with more tests solved within 12 hours after the test was released will gain 100 points. It will gain 50 points if it was after the initial 12 hours. So we are going to end this session now, and now you can go to Classroom. I will give you the code, and you will find the test of today. That it's basically the things that Cam mentioned it in her session. It's 8 questions, very, very simple, and they're very concrete. My tip for you, read them carefully, because even if they are easy, the answers can be tricky. So pay attention for it. And I will explain this part again. So I am a chair of ISEC in ICB, and my planet is, I don't know, planet Narnia or whatever. I need to fill the academy within 12 hours. For each entity that fills the test inside the planet will gain 100 points. If the entity fills the test after the first 12 hours, it still will gain 50 points. What happened if I need to fill it, or I want to fill it by Friday? You can still fill it, and all of you can still fill it, because we are going to open the test daily, but we are not going to close them. So you can go and get them, and maybe you can get a rematch. Like, I handle everything to be like equal entities, so it's fine. And yeah, they will be open until the day of August, and we are going to open the test daily. Now, why this is important? Because the outputs of the educational cycle will be the materials to do the test. That is a privilege that you have. Yes, we are going to give you all the outputs of all the sessions, because of course it's your right, and if you could not attend, it's important for you to do this. But we have 2 weeks of this cycle. So the first week will end on Saturday. On Sunday, we are going to release all the materials to everyone on like each Sunday. But daily, you will find the video and you will find the sessions on Google Classroom to make this. So you will have like, I don't know how you say this, but the primacy to have all these materials and the videos. This is something super new, like the entire documents and the things that you will receive as ECB, because this is focused on you. So make sure that you are taking the test and the materials, not just because you want to win these cluster wars, but because this is very important and you need to know everything that we are like saying now, like baby steps, of course, but try to get to know more. And of course, connect your clusters, and not only your cluster, but the people that it's in all the clusters that can help you with a lot of things. So now this is the code of Google Classroom. So screenshot it. Can you send the code in the ECB Cheers group? Also, I will send we are going to announce it on Instagram and everywhere. The code is going to be the same every day. It's just that the test will be like uploaded daily. So make sure you are following this. And how will we know our planet score? It will be very easy. The first one will be on Instagram. As I said before, we're going to post the podium of all the planets. It's not going to be the one, the first or the second. It's going to be all of them. So make sure that you are being part of the proud podium and not the last entities. And there you will have the planet score, and of course by email, because I am going to email you every day with the link to join this call as I did this morning, plus a picture of the last podium. And because there is something very special, that we're going to have a final battle. So we're going to have a space last day to announce the winners. And this is where I was saying about rematch, because okay, what if I did all the tests in the first day? Okay, I have a lot of points, but if I do all the tests and all my entities do the test in my planet, I can rematch and maybe I can win. As I said before, almost all entities are very balanced in terms of numbers. So you all have like almost the equal opportunities and equal rights to win these cluster wars. So that's everything. I am so happy to announce this. Thank you. And of course, may the force be with you. And here you have our beautiful Lua icon. I don't know if you have any question about this. You can go right now to Classroom, because the test of today, it's already there. And I will be tracking in a spreadsheet with, of course, BD this. And that's it. I don't know if you have any question or comment or whatever. I will just take back the code. If there is no question, I guess we are done by today. I cannot wait to see you until tomorrow. And there is something I wanna like ask you. Oh, okay, sorry. Yes, Mitch, go. Mitch. Oh yes, the Yoda role the Yoda role is like to guide them, to answer their questions, to give some wisdom to the cluster, to help them to feel the question, like to be their master in this process. Of course, the Yodas have to feel the test too, but it's basically to be like their instructors in this path. Yay! And the thing that I wanted to ask you for tomorrow, we are going to check the attendance because maybe not. The attendance can give you some points to these cluster words. And please, we don't know all the names yet. I know we have some chairs, we have some members, and we don't know everyone, and neither the flags. Like, I know a lot of flags, but not all of them. So please, 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 when you join this call, put your name and the entity you are representing. That it's amazing if you can do it starting right tomorrow. Of course, we're going to give you the reminder, but that's it for today. We took 12 minutes than expected, but it was 40, of course. And saying that, I guess it's all by today.
Yay! If you have any type of questions related to the content, you can talk to me or Lilo or whoever you want. We are here for you.